Hey everybody, welcome to episode 6. Appreciate you joining in. Continue to share, continue to subscribe. Like I always say, continue to tell your friends about it. I thank you all for coming to watch episode 6 and coming to join in to see, some of the hot stocks that I'm talking about. And like I say, continue to share the page, continue to subscribe and let your friends know about it. And if you have any questions, drop a comment below and I'll try to get to it in the future episodes. Any stocks that you want to know about or any stocks that that you think that are hot stocks, definitely drop a comment below and I'll try to talk about some of those and some of the research that I've done on some of those stocks. And then like I always say, I'm not a professional stock advisor or anything like that. This channel is pretty much just to share the knowledge that I have, that I've learned so far, and some of the stocks that I think is hot. But I'm not telling anybody to go and invest in any stocks that I talk about here. By all means, definitely, do your own research. Any stock that I talk about on here, do your own research before you, decide to buy or not buy. But like I always say, I'm not a stock advisor. I'm just, sharing my knowledge and sharing some of the stocks that I'm having success on right now. So this week, I wanted to go over some of those stocks that I think could potentially double by the end of this year or next year, or that are good stocks to look at, to look into. Like I did pretty much last week in episode 5 in the cannabis industry, where I talked about certain stocks that I felt was going to jump last week or had a potential to, double by the end of the year. I pretty much wanted to do that moving forward because I had a good feedback from everybody out there saying, hey, they appreciate it. A couple of people, did their own research and invested in some of the stocks that I talked about on episode 5, and they made good money and they sent me comments, so I appreciate that. Definitely, whenever you make good money, feel free to comment or feel free to send me, the profits or whatever you made, because I'm happy for everybody making money. Like I said at the beginning of this channel, I definitely want everybody to be successful and hopefully we all become rich one day. So the stock that I wanted to talk about this week is called INPX. Again, that's INPX. That stock I think is an amazing stock going forward. I look back in 2016 and 15, like I always do. I talk about my previous episodes. Definitely look at the past or where the stock was at, and then go forward. Look at the future, where you feel the stock can go, heading forward in the next 2 to 3 years. And when I look back in 2016 and 15, the stock was booming. It was a great stock then. And then after 2016, you see the stock start to decline, and I feel it's at its bottom now. And that's something that I always tell people. Definitely, whenever you're looking into stocks and looking into buying certain stocks, try to buy that stock at its lowest or near its lowest. That way, you're not looking at yourself lose a lot of money if you get into it at its peak. So that's just investing 101. You definitely want to get into a stock when it's at its bottom before it actually rises. That way, when it rises, you make money with everybody else. And this stock, INPX, I feel is at its bottom now. That's why I got into it. I've been into it since August of last year. I started, buying a couple of hundred there, a couple of thousand shares there, just building my portfolio with it. And then, it was about 2 weeks ago, last week, the stock jumped, made a good amount of money, started selling some of the shares. I think I only sold like 25% of my portfolio with that, just because I don't like to pull out all the way. I like to take some of my profits and then move that into other stocks. But I definitely think this stock can, easily reach $4 to $5 range. So that's why I didn't pull all the way out. Just like what a company would do. A company, when the stock goes up, you see them release or announce a public offering or a direct offering, saying, hey, we're selling a certain amount of shares at this price. Because at this point, they see that their stock is high and they want to, make some money off the stock price. That way they can use that money to fund future projects. So that's the same way that I always would tell people to operate their portfolio. Whenever that stock is high, start to take a little small percentage out of there, decrease it, start taking some of those profits and moving those profits into other stocks that are now down or losing money at the time. That way, you can, help your average out in those stocks that are down. So with this stock, I wanted to read the About Us on the company's website. It says that it's an indoor data company. It says pretty much that their indoor intelligence platform and patent technologies empower users to harness the power of indoor data to create actionable intelligence. They specialize in capturing, interpreting, and visualizing indoor data to make indoor spaces smarter, safer, and more secure. And I think the more secure part is the part that I'm focused on. Also the safer part, but the more secure part, because when I looked at this stock back in 2020 in August, I looked at it and I was reading the news around it, and a lot of people was talking about, hey, this stock can be, helpful in the virus moving forward. And I was trying to figure out how that this company and their product would tie into the virus. And then as time went on, and I started, reading other people's comments and other people's research that they did, I realized, hey, they have a technology that can definitely help with the virus going forward. So when I looked at that, I started investing into it, started, like I said, building my portfolio up with that. And just, I think last week they announced that their CO2 technology is being used or can be used to help trace virus, the COVID virus in companies' offices. And when you think about that going forward, we're going to start going back to offices, right? And companies want to make sure those offices are safe for people to return before people return. So what do? You make sure that the air is clean. You make sure everything, there's no viruses or pathogens in the air to harm your employees. In order to do that, you need a technology or something to make sure that that's the case. And that's what their technology does, and that's the cool thing about them. And then, like I said, last week they announced that they actually are now have a technology that can do that, and they're partnering with people so they can start, shipping their product out and using that to help people. And I think that's amazing. I think going forward that's going to make the stock price just increase back to 2016 prices. I don't think it's going to eventually, top 2016 or 2015 prices. But I think, it can definitely rise from where it's at now, easily to $4 to $5 by the end of this year or next year, as more and more companies start to buy the product and as we start to go back into offices and things like that. And then one of the other things I focus on are who is this company's customers? And they already work with governments, they already work with corporations, they already work with a lot of local offices. So it was something that it was easy for me to look into. Okay, I want to invest in this company because I see that this stock price is at its bottom. It's going to go up just based on what they're doing and how they're moving right now. They have a great product out here. They have many other great product and services that they offer for governments or any corporation. So I think, hey, if they're already working with these people, why wouldn't these same people then go to them for another product that can help them bring their employees back in a safe environment? So that was something that was major to me before I invested in this company, and just going forward while I'm investing into it, I just see this stock at least doubling or tripling in the next 2 years, especially if this COVID stays around, which I think it will. I don't think it's going to just disappear overnight. I think it's going to be a couple of years that we're going through this. I think that their product and their services is going to be definitely helpful in the success of beating this and getting past this. So I want people to go and check that out. Like I said, the stock is called INPX. They already announced, I believe last week as well, that they too are selling some of those shares to help fund future projects, which is common. When the stock prices rises, that's something you have to look at for a company, or look out for, I should say, for a company. They're going to definitely try to sell some shares. Their stock price has risen, just like us as a retail investor. You see the stock price goes up. You see you have profit now. You want to take some of that profit out. That's just like with a company, what they want to do. And last week they announced that they had a public offering, which I think closes around the 17th. So it closes around this week. And if you just look at future or past, I should say, stocks, after they do an offering, sometimes they have a little spike. And for me, that's what I look out for here. I look, okay, if they close around the 17th, then this stock should have a little spike, or it might even decline. But if it declines, I'm definitely going to buy more. But if their public offering is at $2 and the stock is around $2 right now, I don't see, a lot of people investing in this company at the $2 stock price and then the stock dropping. Then these institutions wouldn't invest into a company if they thought that the stock was going to drop below, with the price that they bought into. So that's something that I look at when I look into any company. I want to look at who is invested, how they invested. Do they have, is the company, is the owner, the CEO investing in there? Do they have shares themselves? Is any other institutions that, normally, these institutions invest in companies and the company rises right after they invest? Are they investing in this company? If so, I definitely want to jump on board, because they only invest in things that's going to rise, right? So that's something that I look at before I look into companies. And this company here, they have a public offering, which is definitely different from a direct offering. A direct offering is more of, we already have an institution or an investor ready to buy these shares, and now we're just selling to them, versus a public offering is anybody in the public can buy it at this stock price around $2, right? So that's amazing, I think, because it pretty much, it creates a floor in my mind. So when they say, hey, we're selling these shares at $2, then to me the floor is $2. So I don't see the stock dropping that much below $2 right now. If it does, then definitely buy more. If it's around $2, then I feel I'm going to buy more as well. Because like I said, for me, I see this stock easily going between $4 to $5 range easily. So excuse me, while it's at the $2 range right now, I definitely want to, dive into it and buy more and more and more, buy as much as I can before that stock reaches that $4 to $5 mark that I think it's going to reach. So that's one of the companies I wanted to focus on in this episode. Like I said, it's INPX. I think it's an amazing company going forward, and I want you all to check it out. Like I said earlier, I'm not telling anybody to go and invest in this company. All I'm saying is this is the company that I'm investing in, and that's the research that I did on the company. And I want you all to go out there and do your own research and check it out, because I think this company is a great company moving forward, and I think they have great products and services that they already work with governments and corporations, like I said. So I think moving forward, they're going to continue to do so at a higher rate. And then that's when you see the stock price continue to rise and rise and rise and rise and rise. The second stock that I wanted to talk about, I'm going to talk about three in this episode. And the second one I wanted to talk about was going back to the cannabis industry. Last week, like I said, I talked about cannabis and some of the Canadian companies that I felt was going to boom last week. And like I said, I'm glad people made money. I'm glad the people that reached out to me told me that they made great money off of it. Because that's amazing. I'm glad people are making money off some of the stocks that I'm invested in. Because that's ultimately, like I always say, that's what I want. I want us all to make money here. So that stock, some of those stocks, they had a rise last week. But when you think about it, U.S. laws, and I think I said in my previous episode, the U.S. laws will help it, and they will help Canadian companies, because it's just the interest or the thought, the rumor, I would say, of, okay, this Canadian company could then now transfer their product over here in America, right? So the more the American laws ease up on cannabis, the easier it will be for them to, transfer or bring some of their products over here in America, and they can boom. So I still think they can rise based off the laws. I still think whenever, we ease up on the laws, those companies are going to see a stock price rise. But some of the American companies I think people should focus on, or one of them I think we should focus on, is called Curaleaf. That company I invested in December of last year. I think it's an amazing stock. I think right now when I look at their market share here in America, because they're already operating here in America. But like I said, the federal laws right now don't allow them to operate as freely as they want to. So I think once those laws change, as we're doing, as we're progressing towards change in the cannabis world, I think that company, since they already have a strong presence here in America, I think that company is going to see a big jump once those laws are no longer holding them back. So that's something that I invested in. Like I always say, start buying a couple of hundred, then you start buying a couple of thousand shares of it. And if it drops, that's when you start buying more to average down. If it spikes, great, start taking profits from it. And that's a company I think can easily, I think it's around like $16, $17 right now. I think that company can easily double in the next 2 years, as long as the laws continue to change as they're doing right now. Once those laws, loosen up some, that company has a great product line already here in America. So I want you all to go check that company out. That's one of the U.S. cannabis companies that I think can potentially, rise once these laws ease up some here in America. I think that company is going to jump, do great things. They have a great product line that many other people don't have here in America. So that's something that I want, people to really focus on when you're looking at this company. They have a lot of things that a lot of other U.S. companies are offering right now, and they're only going to grow once the laws, continue to change and stop holding them back. And the third company that I wanted to get into, which is a company that I've been into it since November of last year, and I've been focused on, I've been looking at it. I think this company is going to continue to grow. When you look at the laws, like it's another company that is based on laws, right? The laws changing, and you look at the next 4 years as we go. This company is around the gambling world, right? So some of these betting laws are changing here in America, and you're starting to see more and more states allow betting and gambling in their state. And that's what I think is major. And once those laws ease up this year, I think this company called Score Media, I'm pretty sure you all already know about Score. They have an app, it's Score app. I'm pretty sure you already know about it. You can bet on it, bet on NBA games, football games, anything of that nature. You can bet on it. I think that company will eventually be bought out. And one of the potential buyers, personally, I think will either be Penn National, which is a major big company, or another company is DraftKings. I think that company can potentially buy Score Media, just because Score Media has the Canadian market. Right now, they are major in Canada. They are the Canadian gambling site. They have that market on a strong hold. So when you look at, the U.S. laws and things like that easing up. And now you want to bring some of those companies that already have a foothold here or there in Canada. Those are one of the companies that you want to invest into. And then when you're looking at Penn National already has an interest in the company. So I think eventually they can be bought out. And whatever that stock price is at the time, that's when the stock is going to go up, right? So let's say if the stock right now is around $4 or $5 range, and they get bought out, and the Penn National or DraftKings or whoever is buying them for, let's say, $10 per share. That's when you see that stock price go from $4 to $5 up to the $10, because that's what they're being bought at. So I think that company has the potential of a buyout. I don't know when, but I went ahead and got into it myself early, just because whenever that buyout does come, I definitely want to be there for it, because I think that company has a big market share there in Canada. And with that being said, that's the company, once laws ease up here, that the big name players will want to buy and take over, right? So when that happens, that's when the stock price goes up, and that's when you start seeing your money and you take your money from it. So definitely, I'm focused on that stock. I think Score Media is a great company. I think what they're doing is great there in Canada. And I think whenever, if they do get bought out, I think that's when you'll see that price go up. Or if they don't get bought out and they come over here in America and start doing their own thing here once the law change, and I think either way the stock is going to go up. So that's something that I'm in for the long term. I think I'm giving that stock at least a year to continue to grow, and throughout the year I'm going to continue to invest. Now, if the stock does jump before the year ends, then of course I'm out of there. I'm going to get out before it drops back down. But at the same time, like I said, I'm giving myself time with this stock. This is a stock that I personally started buying in the hundreds. And just like I did with INPX, start buying in the hundreds, then you could buy a couple of thousand and just build your portfolio up over time. And then you'll start seeing yourself making money over time. So that stock, Score Media, was one of the stocks that I was like very excited getting into, just because for me, it's the buyout that has me the most excited about the stock. And then secondly, the second catalyst would be the U.S. laws changing and them potentially coming over here and making a big mark here. So that's something that I think is big, and more people are now betting on sports and betting on fights or anything of that nature, just because, we're at home, we don't have much to do now. So now we're looking into, making money in other ways, even in the stock market, things like that. So I think just that industry in itself is already booming. It's going to continue to boom moving forward, especially the way things are going right now with the virus and keeping people at home. So I appreciate you all joining in. Once again, I wanted to go on three stocks. I wanted to focus on three stocks, and that is INPX, Score Media was another one, and Curaleaf in the cannabis industry. Those three stocks I think are amazing. I want you all to check it out and look into those moving forward. You might even see a jump moving next week with INPX, just because, like I said, their public offering is supposed to close on around the 17th. So once that closes, I expect the stock to at least have a little bump going forward. And that's a stock that I'm very excited about. Out of the three, I would say INPX is my most stock that I'm excited about, just because I think that stock has a great future. And looking at its past, it already made a name for itself in the past, and it's already been at that high level before. I think it can potentially get back to that high level going forward with the things that they're doing now. So I appreciate you all joining. I appreciate you all continuing to share and subscribe and like. Like I said, any questions that you have, any concerns, anything, any help, as far as to make the page better, feel free to drop a comment below, and I'll look into it moving forward in future episodes. Hopefully this week is a short week. So Monday, of course, we all have off, right? So Monday, the stock market is closed, but then on Tuesday, it's back to making money. So let's go make some money on Tuesday this week. Like I said, I want you all to check those three stocks out: Curaleaf, Score Media, and INPX. I think those three companies have a great potential moving forward. I appreciate you all coming and join. Thank you all. God bless.